Hey there, bibliophiles and those raising bibliophiles. Today's book review is sort of taking a book series and heading back several decades. And so this original series came out, I believe, in the 1960s. So, going through those thrifty bookstores, came across the series, thought it looked pretty interesting. So today's book review is going to be over book number 1, and the series was technically called like a sequence that the author has, and it's The Dark is Rising sequence. And book number 1 is Over Sea and Under Stone. And one of the great quotes from the book that I think really just sort of encapsulates this idea, and it's this: the story itself is built up as a battle between the light and the dark. And so one of the quotes is, it was as if they were fighting not people, but a dark force that used people as its tool. So if that gives you a little intrigue, hopefully you'll want to keep listening to this book review, and hopefully this might be a series that is interesting. I will talk a little bit about in each of the books. There is magic in this book. It's a little bit different. It's not very Harry Potter-esque as far as magic. I kind of think of it more along the lines of Lewis and Tolkien. But I will share what I have in each of the different books and the review for those, and you can sort of decide as a family if that's something that you would like your child to read. So Over Sea and Under Stone by Suzanne Cooper is the first in this Dark is Rising series. It was originally published, this particular one, in 1965, and she gives a little note in the beginning that it actually started as a writing contest, and she didn't win the contest, but we still have this really cool story here for us to read. Again, I would caution just a little bit as far as the magic. There are some intense sequence of events, so depending on your reader, that might be something that they are sensitive to, so just kind of keep that in mind. The book is recommended for ages 8 to 13, and I would definitely, because of like the darkness and the oppression and the feelings that the darkness has over the children and the characters, that would be something that you definitely want to be aware of. And like I said, depending on your child's sensitivity, that could be something that's a word of caution for you. So this particular book centers around 3 children. You have Simon, Jane, and Barney, which is short for Barnabas, and they are on a family vacation, and they have this great Uncle Mary that's actually of no relation to the children. Barney in this story is in love with King Arthur lore and his court and all the enjoyment of that, and they have a rainy day while they're at this seaside vacation, and the children go exploring in the house, and in the attic they find an old manuscript. And so they take their little treasure that they found and they bring it to Uncle Mary, and they learn that they have sort of stepped into something that was more than they thought, that this manuscript that they found is what the dark has been hunting for, and Uncle Mary is actually part of the light, and he was trying to find it too. And he was kind of hopeful that the children in their innocence would uncover this missing piece. So again, good Uncle Mary, he's a little bit more than the children realize, and things are pretty mysterious, but in a good way. Unbeknownst to the parents of the children, they come across these friends who want to get to know them and spend time with them while they're on vacation, but these friends are actually part of the dark, and at one point they break into the house, and weird things are going on, and it's because of these people who are joined with the dark forces. There are mentions of poltergeists as a culprit to some of the things that happen in the house, especially like a break-in that destroys things, because they were looking for something, which is the manuscript. They knew it was possibly in the house somewhere. And so I just want you to know that there is that mention of ghosts and poltergeists, but it's sort of like brought up but not believed as real and sort of moved on. In the end of this story, a bit of a spoiler, the children are successful. They're able to, so this particular book, they are looking for the Grail. So King Arthur's Grail. And so they do find it. And that sort of, has some mystery and some intrigue, and they end up putting it in a museum is where it's kept. There's no profanity. There's nothing unsavory in the story. The premise, like I said, is this battle between light and dark. We see some of this King Arthur lore making its way into the story. It does take place in Britain, so that's another thing too. So she is a British author, and your child may be a little bit confused on some of the spellings of words because it is the English spelling and not the American spelling, but certainly something that they can reason out and figure out. But just to let you know. I thought the premise of the book was pretty good, and I was pretty interested to read the rest of the book. So just kind of hang in there and see what you think about the other books in the series.